Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome on in to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It was the longest season in NHL history, but all good things must come to an end. And what an end it was. Game 7 from Sunrise, Florida. We knew it would be historic. The game did not disappoint, living up to the epic billing, and ultimately the Rats rained down in Florida as the Panthers hoisted Lord Stanley's Cup for the first time in their 30-year franchise history. The Panthers came out and for the first time since Game 3 played their game after seemingly losing track of the series, losing all the momentum, losing all of the edge. Bobrovsky and the boys came back in grand fashion, and the Panthers take the game. We will break it all down. We will analyze it. We will discuss not only the game, we will discuss the series as a whole. Did Connor McDavid deserve the Conn Smythe trophy? We had talked about that last week, that it was a possibility. Should he have gotten it? Should he have won it? We will break that down. We will look at both teams. Which team is more likely to wind up in these shoes next season? And we'll just see what else is finally coming down the way in the NHL, because, you know, the offseason is suddenly in full-time go mode. All that plus more coming up right now on the Neutral Zone. Let's go. And hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Welcome into the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Of course, tonight we are going to be breaking down the epic Game 7 that saw the Florida Panthers hoist the Stanley Cup for the first time in their 30-year history. So much to go for in just that game, but the series as a whole, decisions that were made afterwards, all kinds of things to break down. We will get into all of it, plus more, over the next 42 minutes or so of the show tonight. But before we dive in headlong, we do want to acknowledge our sponsors here at the station: Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. So we will hear a quick word from both of those sponsors, and then we shall dive into the hockey talk. You are listening to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Do not go anywhere. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be sure to check out both of our sponsors, Seal the Deal Wax Seals and Planet Jerky. And of course, you need to check out the station as well, IE Sports Radio. For the last 10 plus years now, we have continued to bring you outstanding sports content. Be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at IE Sports Radio. You can also check out our website, iesportsradio.com. You find all the information about the shows, plus the shop, merchandise, information about the hosts. You can find out things about this show in particular, iesportsradio.com/the neutral zone. The blog is there as well. And all of our shows, for those of you who are not watching tonight, either over Twitter or YouTube or Instagram, you can listen to all of the shows available on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Deezer, JioSav, all kinds of ways to get our content. So even if you're not able to catch the show live on Tuesday nights, we are available for you in one way or another. This show is available for you as well on social media. On Twitter, at IESR Neutral Zone is where you find the show. You'll also find me personally. I am at Adam_Karnick. And our co-host, Zach Puplis, he is available at the Puplis. And Zach, happy hockey hangover day to you, good sir. Game 7, how was it?
Oh, my goodness. Nerve-wracking, nail-biting, exciting, all the above.
All of it, everything you would want. Absolutely everything you would want in a Game 7 was there for you. You had,
for sure,
the low scoring, the tight drama, the feeling that at any particular moment, this thing could turn on its head at any given time. The Panthers, I'll be honest, I did not expect that from them last night. I thought the series had slipped away from them. I thought the momentum had absolutely gone totally over to Edmonton. If Carter Verhaeghe doesn't score that first goal, I think that game goes very, very, very differently. You agree, Zach?
I think so. I mean, they had posted that stat at some point in the game that, whoever has scored the first goal has won, XYZ amount of the matches. And yeah, it seemed like that whoever sets the tone is the one that's in the capper's seat for sure.
Yeah. Even with Edmonton coming back and tying the game basically just a couple of minutes later, it felt like the fact that the Panthers were able to go up 1-0, you could feel you could feel the stadium relax a little bit. It was okay. All right. We're not going to be playing catch up for the whole game. We're able to play on our terms a little bit. And even though Edmonton got yet another breakaway and once again able to beat Bobrovsky up high on those breakaways, it was you had the sense and the feeling that Florida was going to be able to play Florida's game for the first time really since Game 3.
Yeah. I mean, the way the series had started, I I did not have much hope for my prediction to come true. Edmonton in 7. I got the 7 part right, just not the Edmonton part.
Yeah, between the two of us, we got it. I had the Panthers in 6. You had the Oilers in 7. We just combine our two predictions, and you've got it there basically.
Yeah, Captain Planet it. Let our powers combine.
Right, exactly. Something along those lines there. But just the other thing that struck me with the game last night, I did not expect Florida's defense to take over again. We saw how Edmonton figured out how to defeat the forecheck. We saw the stretch passes. We saw the willingness to take the deep shots and see what comes from them, and how Florida failed to respond to that. I did not expect to see Florida's defense be able to come back the way it did. Nothing against Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky had an amazing game last night, but we saw a return of that suffocating Florida Panther defense in exactly when you needed to have it. It's game 7. It is do or die. You've got to have this game. You got to have your hat on what you do best. And in this case, it was defense, and they were able to get back to that. The amazing statistic, I was thinking about this this morning as I was getting ready for the day. In the 3 games that Edmonton won, Edmonton scored 18 goals. In the 4 games that Florida won, Edmonton scored 5 goals.
Yeah.
And 3 of those came in game 3. So over 3 of those losses, they scored a grand total of 2 goals. That is stifling defense from the Panthers.
Yeah.
And it's Bobrovsky played great. Bobrovsky had an excellent series overall, but that's a testament to everybody on that defense as well for the Panthers, not just Bobrovsky.
Yeah, and it's Florida winning at playing their game, and Edmonton winning at playing their game, and unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Which one's going to win? And clearly Florida won.
and this time, it really shows just how hard it is to win 4 games in a row against the same opponent. Neither team was able to do it.
Yeah.
Neither team was able to. They both won 3 straight. Neither one of them could get the one to put them over the top.
They made just enough adjustments, but in the from game 3 to game 4 and from game 6 to game 7.
Yep. You did just enough things to do whatever it was you needed to do to win the game. And that third period especially was just Edmonton. You knew going into that third period, you were going to get a heavy dose of McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. You were going to get the big guns for basically the full 20 minutes.
Well, that's just it. If you're going to go out, you might as well go out your way, and you got to have all guns blazing.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to go out all guns blazing. But Florida was able to stand up to it. They were able to withstand the onslaught that you knew was coming.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, that's just it. The last game 6 and game 7, Connor was just kind of invisible, and so was Draisaitl. Draisaitl went dry. I remember saying during the game, I'm like, oh.
Yep. Yeah, they were nowhere to be found. And at the very end, Edmonton, you could tell Edmonton was just gassed at the end of that game, and credit Florida for that. I mean, you had I threw it out there on Twitter. I put on there that it was, when do they pull Skinner? Does it happen with 3.5 minutes left? And I honestly was feeling like that might be too late. I was honestly thinking more like maybe they should do it with 4 or 4.5. What have you? This is for the cup. You've got to do this.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get him off the ice. It was finally with about 1:20 left. They were in their own zone, and Stuart, you got to get over here, man. We got to get you off the ice. Yeah. This just isn't working. It's not happening. We're not getting this. We're not getting us the ideal situation that we wanted. Now we've got to just get you off the ice, and we got to make hay here with what we have. Yeah. So, and then they call timeout, and that energized Florida. The Panthers defense got stronger during the timeout. It looked like McDavid and Draisaitl and Edmonton looked gassed coming out of that final timeout. They could not establish the zone at all over the final 95 seconds. And what better way for it to end than with the puck getting stuck in a corner and the forecheck of Florida just making sure it doesn't leave the corner at all. What better way for that series to end last night?
We were laughing about that. Like, one guy was down there, and it was almost like he's just gonna. Okay, guys, how long we need me to sit here? I'll just sit here and hold on to the puck.
Yep. I'm just hanging out here, guys. I'm just hanging out. There's no sense in leaving. We've got control of the puck.
On his hands and knees, even. I'm like,
yep.
That was just ridiculous.
Oh yeah. It's absolutely. So just a terrific win for Florida. Sam Reinhart now can sleep knowing forever that he scored the cup winning goal.
Right.
Nobody's ever going to be able to take that from him. No, the celebration. Have you ever seen a more subdued goal celebration in Game 7 in your life that Reinhart had last night?
You cut out. What was the end of the previous sentence?
Have you ever seen a more subdued celebration in Game 7 than Reinhart?
No, I haven't.
It was just okay. Yeah, I scored. Nice job, guys. Now we gotta turn around and do this again. Right. It's not over yet.
Well, I think maybe that plays into them having been there last year and failing. Act like you've been there before. And the experience and having been there last year helped pay off. And now that, again, hey guys, act like we've been there before, and we won it this time, and go from there.
Yep.
And I think that especially seeing the series possibly slip through their fingers, they said to themselves, guys, all we got to do is got to get one more. And we don't know when we're going to be back. We were there last year, but we don't know when we're going to be back again. This is 2 times in a row, and you just got to take advantage of it. So now they're 1-1 in the last 2 years in the finals.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, you brought up, you never know if you're going to make it there again. Paul Maurice. I mean, you want to talk about a journey there, the head coach of the Panthers. He broke into the NHL with the Hartford Whalers,
right?
A team that doesn't exist anymore, and now he finally gets to have his name on the cup. And you could just see it all over his face last night when I did feel a little bad for Emily Kaplan. She was trying to interview him, trying to do her job. And then now here comes the cup over, and he's, oh, sorry. You gotta excuse me. I gotta have my minute here with the cup here.
Well, did you get the press conference afterwards when he was just short and sweet and hey, we won the cup. Going to go do it again next year. I don't want to hear you guys till then. I don't want to talk to you till then. Or something.
But I mean, you could just see it all over his face. The emotion, relief. That is the best word for it. The relief on his face that finally we got it. Well, I got it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be lumped in with the one team ever to have blown a 3-0 lead and have the other team come back. 3-0 series lead.
Yeah. You don't want to be the first guy since World War II, to have that blot on your record. Absolutely.
You're not famous at that point. You're infamous.
Right. I did like the quote he had of, it shouldn't have taken us 3 games to learn these lessons, but we learned them. Give the guys credit for that. They learned their lesson.
Right. Well, 2 things. So, did you see? I think I posted it on our page, but games 1 through 3, Florida Panthers. Game 4 and 5 was the Florida Falcons or something, and then game 6 it actually had the Falcons logo, and then game 7 was back to the Panthers. They almost blew it.
Yeah. They were a step away from being infamous.
Yeah. And then the other one, I already spaced it, but they did say 57% of the series, and then they go to game 7s, they are 1-game goals, 1-goal games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very low scoring. Absolutely. Very, everything's very tight. Your benches are short. Nobody, you're not putting your 4th line out there very much at the end of the game. It's you're shortening everything up. On the flip side, let's talk about Edmonton a little bit here.
Oh, that was my other point. Sorry, they had one of the articles that talked about, well, if we can't make it a sweep, we're going to try to make it a gentleman's sweep. And that was the first time I'd heard that term. And that meant that, at least, we'll be generous and let them get 1 win at least. We'll win the series 4-1. And that's what it was looking like at first. And for them to actually, push that all the way, drag them back to Alberta, get them to the brink, game 7, do or die, you got to give them tons of credit.
Yeah, and I mean, game 6 too. You came out of game 6 just feeling like everything was with Edmonton. Everything was with Edmonton.
It was 3-1 at one point, and then the final was 5-1, right? So I'm assuming there was
two empty netters.
2 empty netters? Okay.
2 empty netters. Yeah, they scored 2 empty net goals to finish off game 6 to win that one 5-1. Yeah, and it was just Edmonton in control there at the end of game 6 and having all the momentum. So now you're Edmonton. Let's take it from their perspective for just a minute here. First of all, did McDavid deserve to win the Conn Smythe? Let's start there. Let's break into Edmonton that way. Did Connor McDavid deserve to win the Conn Smythe trophy last night? He did not come out. You notice he stayed in the locker room. He did not come out for it. I'll be honest. I don't know if that was a conscious decision on his part or if that was simply, we're in Florida. You just lost. Just stay there, man. We're going to announce it and then we're just going to move on.
Yeah.
We'll bring the trophy to you. Don't worry about it. I don't know how much of that was him and how much of that was the NHL trying to cover for him.
Right. Yeah. I think he did deserve to win it. Again, they even mentioned it prior to the trophy presentation. It's not, they're like, hey, unlike the NBA and the NFL, like it's not just over 1 game or 1 series, it's through the whole playoffs. So you got to keep that in mind. So that kind of gives him a little cover for how poorly he did in game 6 and game 7.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, even take game 6 and 7, I mean, take the whole series as a whole. He was the first guy in NHL history to have back-to-back 4-point games in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was completely ineffective the entire series. He made history in the series. Obviously, the last game he came up short, but it's over, as you said, it's over the playoffs as a whole, and he had a historic playoff. There's only 2 guys that have had more points in a single postseason, and that's Gretzky and Lemieux. I'm sold. That's all you need to tell me. The dude had an amazing postseason. Absolutely. Had the Panthers completed the sweep, Bobrovsky, yes, that would have made all the and ultimately, had they given it to Bobrovsky, I would have understood. I wouldn't have necessarily agreed, but I would have understood. He did come back in game 7. He did come back to form. They did win the cup. And you hadn't given it to a player from the losing team in 20 years. So I would have understood it. But I absolutely agree with the decision. I think McDavid absolutely deserved the Conn Smythe. There's nobody else that you could have possibly given it to. He set the record for most assists in a postseason.
Right.
8 goals, 34 assists in a 25 game postseason. Just a tremendous job by McDavid in this one. So absolutely, to me, he deserves it. Full bore. Absolutely. I have 0 problems with that decision.
Well, but from his perspective, I think you definitely got to think that it's a Pyrrhic victory, and it's almost like the Prince of Wales trophy or the Campbell trophy. Like, well, it's great and all, but I would have preferred to win the cup.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I heard the question on my drive home, and it's like, first of all, that Conn Smythe trophy is not small. That is a massive, that is you get the trophy case to make sure this one fits in it.
Right.
You build the case around that one.
Yeah.
Does he keep it? Or does it become a constant reminder for him of coming right up to the peak, but failing to actually finish climbing the mountain? If you're Connor McDavid, what do you do with this trophy? Do you celebrate it, or is it a painful reminder?
I think it's more of a painful reminder than anything, but I think it's good motivation for him. I mean, you bet your bottom dollar that he's gonna be gunning for everybody next year.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to talk about next year. So we'll segue into that here. Let's take ourselves a quick break. But on the flip side, we saw the Panthers, they lost in the Cup final a year ago, only to come back and win in epic grand fashion this year. Could Edmonton do that next year? Who's going to be stronger next year? We will discuss that next. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
And welcome on back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back here with you, recapping the outstanding Game 7 that we were all treated to last night with the Florida Panthers ultimately raising Lord Stanley's Cup and celebrating their first ever championship in their 30-year history. So, Zach, I have no idea. Producers Larry is having all kinds of fun in the background. Where is that one coming from? Yeehaw, because we're in the South? Oh, God, that one was terrifying. Oh, my God. Oh, come on. He's just exploring all of the buttons in the background. Now this could get interesting. Well, we will get through and we will see what comes of all this. So, Zach, I threw the question out there right before the break. We saw Florida last year lose in somewhat pathetic style against Vegas in the Stanley Cup final, where they just absolutely curb stomped them in that series, only to turn around and win the cup this year. Could we see a similar thing from Edmonton next season? Who's going to be stronger next season, do you think? The Oilers or the Panthers heading into next year?
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. That curb stomping game. I remember that they just, look, hey, Vegas, I think just scored another goal.
That entire third period was just Vegas got to celebrate for 20 minutes that we've won the cup. It's just a matter of we're waiting for the clock to finish winding down,
Right. Yeah. I guess it depends on what happens in free agency and the draft, but their window's still open. It wouldn't surprise me to see them right back there next year, to see Edmonton back there again next year.
Yeah, both teams, the salary cap is going up. Amazingly enough, we've got the draft this weekend. Do we realize that the draft is only like in 3 days?
Right.
We got to turn right around and get ready for that. The Macklin Celebrini celebration going on in San Jose, but
Celebrini good times.
Yeah. We are in off season mode already here.
Yeah.
The salary cap is going up. It's going up to 88 million. Both Edmonton and Florida, they've got room to operate under the cap. They've got some pieces that are coming up in free agency. Neither one of them has a first round pick. Edmonton has a second round pick. Florida has to wait all the way to the third round till they pick. Of course, again, you're not necessarily expecting that your guys, it's not the NFL where you expect that your first rounder is just going to come in and make an impact right away. They can, but it's also not uncommon that they go back to college or they go back to Canada or they stay overseas or the minors or wherever. It's not a guarantee that they'd be coming up to a roster, to either of these rosters anyway, even if they did have a first round pick, but neither one of them has a first round pick. Edmonton's got a second. Florida has to wait all the way to the third round to make their first pick, but they've got room to go in the cap. Edmonton got off to such a slow start this season. You remember they were 2-9-1 at one point, and we were thinking, oh my gosh,
they fired the coach.
Yeah. Have we seen the end of the Edmonton Oilers? Is this truly it? And then, as you brought up, they fire their coach, they bring in Knobloch, and away they go. And next thing you know, they're looking like the Edmonton Oilers again. It would not shock me in the slightest if Edmonton would turn to the Cup final next year. I do think that there is concern, that window is closing. They've got some cap space. I believe they have about 10 million in cap space available to them. They have to, so they've got room, but it's not like they can go crazy. They've got to be intelligent with their spending, but I think they've got room for one last hurrah here, one last push for Edmonton, and then we're going to see. We'll see. But I think I would not surprise me to see them in the final next year.
Same, yeah. One of the things. Okay, so we talked about the draft and possibly free agency. Okay, you talk about who they're going to add in free agency, but also one of the things you pretty much see every year is that the championship team has to shed more guys too. Like they've hit the cap. They actually wind up having to let people go from that championship run. I know you guys had it with the Blackhawks, a number of different times. I know Tampa Bay had let some guys go to go to other teams. So what's the situation? What's the picture look like that for both teams?
Again, they're in okay. Both of them are okay under the cap. In fact, Florida, I believe, I'm doing this off the top of my head now, one of them has roughly 10 million in cap space, which you could make, you could make 2 or 3 decent signings out of that, or you can make one huge signing out of that.
Sure.
The other has 20 million in cap space. So you've got some room to go there. And neither one of them has.
You said Florida has 20 in cap space? Wow.
I believe it's Florida has 20 million in cap space. If somebody in the chat room knows that I have that backwards, feel free to put in the comments section that I have it backwards. I will happily stand on being corrected there. I know one of them has 10, the other has 20.
Okay.
Space. And when I was looking over the lists of free agents last night for both of them, nobody jumped out at me as, oh boy, well, there's where their money is going.
Yeah.
So at the same time, it's so hard to repeat. It is so hard to repeat. As we all know, you now have a target on your back. Every time you step out on the ice, they're judged. You are the measuring stick for the other team. It's, hey, if we can beat them, we can beat anybody. So you're going to, for 80, you're going to get everybody's A game every night. You're not going to get the backup goalies very often. You're not going to get the, oh man, I could use a breather. I really could just, one night off.
Load management, if you will.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that happens a lot in the NHL anyway, but you are going to, oh, hey, we're playing the Panthers. Yeah. You're getting our best shot, boys. We may not beat you, but we are absolutely going to define our season and measure ourselves against you.
If you can't
That's
get
what's
up
going
for
to happen.
that, what can you get up for? You know,
Right? Exactly. It's a whole new world. It is such a different thing that you're having to face. I like this from Mike Pat Johnny. The answer is neither. The Washington Capitals will win it all. That would take everybody by surprise, Mike. Absolutely. That would take us all by surprise if that were to happen.
Tonight we're gonna party like it's 2018.
I mean, Ovechkin can be Ovechkin on any given night, but that would be something. That would certainly be something there. But
talking about free agencies and signings and tradings and all, wheeling and dealing, if you will. So I think we already knew the answer to this question, but this is even more emphatic this year. So who won the Calgary Florida trade?
I believe there's some hardware that has the answer to that question.
Right. Tkachuk versus Huberdeau. I think who's better?
Yeah. I think Matthew Tkachuk is just going to point to his ring anytime that question pops up.
Right. Well, and Bob too. I mean, talk about somebody. Is there anybody else who's been more happy to get out of Ohio?
Oh.
Oh my God.
Thank God you got me out of Columbus. Thank God. Thank the hockey gods. I got out of Columbus.
Right.
I survived. Yeah, they should all get t-shirts. I survived being in Columbus. But
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again, no shade on Bobrovsky not winning the Conn Smythe. He played well, but yeah, absolutely. He will be happy with the way that all turned out for him, I am sure.
Oh, sure.
So
we have here. So the stat now is 207-4 now when one team leads 3-0 in the series.
In the Stanley Cup final.
And Canada's still now Stanley Cupless since 93. So 31 years now. And that 30 number rings a bell because Panthers have been around for 30 years and they've just finally won their first cup.
Do we have a final tally on the miles that the Stanley Cup traveled in this series?
Oh my gosh, no, but that's my homework. I will get back to you next week.
It has to be a record because obviously this was the furthest distance, between the two cities, and the cup was there for game 1. It was there for game 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's got to be a record for racking up the frequent flyer miles there for the Stanley Cup in one series.
Well, okay, so hang on. So 4, 5, 6, and 7 makes sense. But why it was in game 1 just because it's the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah, they decided this year for game 1, they decided to have the cup there and they had it out on a small table.
Oh, wow.
To present as the series started. So yeah, that was new for this year.
Okay.
Which I had no problem with it. That was kind of cool. It's, hey, here's the thing. As if you needed a reminder, here's the thing we're all fighting for.
This is the gravitas of the situation.
Yep, exactly. As if anyone needed reminding. But it wasn't done. Nobody was beating you upside the head with a stick with it either. It was on a small table. They had it presented there.
Right.
They had the photo op, got it off the ice, and away they went. So
yeah, I like the presentation at the end when Pritchard, the one keeper of the cup, if you will, he was talking about how you can't touch it unless you earn it. So that's why we have to wear gloves.
Exactly. Yep. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. And I see Taryn's question there about the Ducks and the Kings. We will do a off-season wrap up. We'll do a full season wrap up and an off-season primer kind of a show, but tonight is not quite the night for those kinds of discussions. Tonight was the night instead for just celebrating what a terrific playoffs, what a terrific series. It didn't look like it was going to go the distance, and then by God, it went the distance, and it was glorious. It was amazing. This was the longest NHL season ever. It went nearly 260 days. This tied for the latest the Cup was ever handed out, June 24th. It had been handed out on June 24th one other time.
In a non-COVID season.
In a non-COVID season. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we're going to pretend 2020 and 2021. The less we talk about those, the better. Some of us still have scars. Sure. But yeah, in a regular year, this is the latest the Cup has ever been won in a standard year, tied for the latest. The Blackhawks also back in 2013 won it on June 24th. That was the 2 goals in 17 seconds. Sorry, Mike, I see you in the chat there. I would understand if that gives you a little bit of frustration. That was a fun as hell night for me, but that's a totally other conversation. But what a season, what a series, what a job. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. That is going to do it for our show here tonight. And yes, Ralph, we do need to work on updating the drop, because not only do the Arizona Coyotes not exist, they're not going to exist. News dropped today that our favorite Arizona owner is going to sell off what few rights to the team he has left, and they are going to go the way of the dodo. We'll have to spend some time on that this offseason too. I don't know, maybe we'll bring up a list of all of the mistakes in the Arizona Coyote franchise history. That could fill a month. Thank you to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Find them at planetjerky.net or on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. Thank you to your support of the show. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax seals or iesportsradio.com/sealthedeal wax seals. Thank you also to Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, plus producer extraordinaire, having a ton of fun with the sound effect buttons in the background there. Thank you, sir, for all the hard work that you do. It does not go unnoticed nor unappreciated. Thank you to everybody in the chat room here with us tonight. Taryn Rodriguez, Mike Pat, Ralph Calise. I saw Gridiron in there tonight. Behind the mic, joining us in the chat room as well. Mike Two Guns, thank you all for joining us in the chat. We really do appreciate it. Finally, thank you for listening to this. We really do appreciate it, whether it was live here tonight on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, or whether or not you're listening later on in the week as a podcast on Spreaker or iHeartRadio or all the other platforms. We really do appreciate it. Next week, we'll talk about the draft. We will start breaking down and getting into off-season mode a little bit. Until then, he is Zach Kuplis. I am Adam Karnik. Together, we are the Neutral Zone. Until then, stay out of the penalty box, light the lamp. Be sure to protect that 5-hole. We will see you next time.